Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 9, Prahlad pacifies the Lord with prayers, text number 30. Ekastvam eva jagat etamamusha tattvam adyantaya pritak avasyasi mayatascha Shrisva guna vyatikaram nija maya yedam nanevater abhisitas tarunu pravishtaha ekastvam eva jagat etamamusha yatvam Adyantayo pritag avasyasi madhyatascha Shrisva guna vyatikaram idamaya yedam Nanevater abhisitas taranu pravishtaha Tvam Adyantayo pritagavasyasi madhyatascha Shrishva guna pratikaram inidamadhyayedam Nanevater abhivitas taranu pravishtaha Eka 1 Tvam you Eva only Jagat the cosmic manifestation Etam this Amusha of that the whole universe Yat, since, Tvam, you, Adi, in the beginning, Antayao, at the end, Pritak, separately, Avashyasi, exists as the cause, Madhyata, Madhyata Cha, also in the middle, the duration between the beginning and the end. Shrisva, creating. Guna Vyatikaram, the transformation of the three modes of material nature. Nida Maya, by your own external energy. Idam, this. Nana iva, like many varieties. Tai, by them, the modes. Avavisita, experienced. Tat, that. Anupravishtaha, entering into. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. My dear Lord, you alone manifest yourself as the entire cosmic manifestation, for you have existed before the creation. You exist after the annihilation, and you are the maintainer between the beginning and the end. All this is done by your external energy through actions and reactions of the three modes of material nature. Therefore, whatever exists externally and internally is you alone. Purport. As stated in the Brahma Samhita 535, Ekopyaso rachayitum jagadanda kotim yachchaksha esha yachchaksha asti jagadanda chayayanantak andantarasta saramanu chayantarastam govindamadi purusham tamahang bhajami. I worship the personality of Godhead, Govinda, who by one of his plenary portions enters the existence of every universe and every atom, atomic particle, and thus unlimitedly manifests his infinite energy all over the material creation. To create this cosmic manifestation, Govinda, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, expands his external energy and thus enters everything in the universe, including the atomic particles. In this way, he exists in the entire cosmic manifestation. Therefore, the activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, maintaining his devotees, are transcendental, not material. He exists in everything as the cause and effect, and yet he is separate, existing beyond this cosmic manifestation. This is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 9.4. Maya tatamidam sarvam jagara vyakti mortina matstani sarvabhutani nachaham teshu vashitaha. The entire cosmic manifestation is but an expansion of the Lord's energy. Everything rests in him, yet he exists separately, beyond creation, maintenance, and annihilation. The varieties of creation are performed by his external energy. Because the energy and energetic are one, everything is one. Sarvam kalvidam Brahma. Therefore, without Krishna, the Param Brahman, nothing can exist. The difference between the material and spiritual worlds is that the external energy is manifest in the material world, whereas the spiritual energy exists in the spiritual world. Both energies, however, belong to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore, in a higher sense, there is no exhibition of material energy, because everything is spiritual energy. The energy in which the Lord's all-pervasiveness is not realized is called material. Otherwise, everything is spiritual. Therefore, Prahlad prays, Ekas tvam eva jagat etam. You are everything. Translation: My dear Lord, you alone manifest yourself as the cosmic manifestation. For you existed before the creation, you exist after the annihilation, and you are the maintainer between the beginning and the end. All this is done by your external energy through actions and reactions of the three modes of material nature. Therefore, whatever exists externally and internally is you alone. Namo Vishnu Vidaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paskatyate Sadarna. Dobre Utra. Here it says everything is spiritual. Any questions? Everything is spiritual, but if we're conditioned by the material nature, then it appears to us to be something material. Material means not seeing it in connection with Krishna. Otherwise, everything is spiritual. Just like if you see some shoes on the street, any old shoes, generally we're not very much impressed by them. But if you see the shoes of your child, your beloved child, then immediately you remember your child, and even the shoes become dear. Similarly, the material nature, when it's not seen in relationship to Krishna, when it's seen in relationship to our desire to exploit it for our sense gratification, then it's something we call material. So how to make everything spiritual? We don't have to take out a magic wand and bless everything, let it be spiritual. No, everything is already spiritual except for our consciousness. So how to do that? Gata sangasya muktasya jnanavastita chetasaha eja charata karma samagram pravilyate. The work of a person who is unattached to the modes of material nature and is fully situated in knowledge merges entirely into transcendence. Is that the right translation? Oh, Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, text number 23. I have a teacher. The work of a man is unattached to the modes of material nature and is fully situated in transcendental knowledge, merges entirely into transcendence. So here the word used is yagya, sacrifice. Yagya vai Vishnu. You've heard that before? Yagya vai Vishnu. Jagnatat kamunon yatra lokayam karma bandhanai. Tarartamapi kontiya mukta sangha samachara. Jagna, that work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu, it has to be performed. Otherwise, work binds one to this material nature. Perform prescribed duties for his satisfaction, O son of Kunti, and this way you'll always remain unattached and free from bondage. In other words, sacrifice is the very essence of what we're trying to do. Yagya vai Vishnu, sacrifice for Vishnu. The whole training in the Vedic culture is to sacrifice for Vishnu. Matter of fact, Varnashram Dharma means sacrifice for Vishnu. Shudras, Vaishyas, Kshatriyas, Brahmins, their only business is to sacrifice for Vishnu. Therefore, Abhayam Sattva Samsudir Jnana Yoga Vyavastiti Dhanam Dhammas Sajagnascha Swadhyat Tapa Arjavam. That the brahmacharis, they're taught Swadhyaya, which means, basically speaking, to find out who you are by studying the Vedas. Studying the Vedas doesn't mean simply to read books, but shushusho shadadanasya. To study means to put into practice what we heard. Otherwise, there's no question of studying. In other words, as I've said many times, there's theoretical knowledge, there's perspective, there's conviction, there's skill, and then there's character and realization. So the brahmachari guru kule vasandanta guru arhitam. The brahmacharis go to the house of the guru, and they live there not as a vacation or as a career opportunity. They go there in order to learn how to become submissive, how to become favorable towards the guru, how to become a servant to the guru. They don't just go to any boarding school. No, they go to the school of the guru and they learn how to become the servant of the guru. Now people will think that's slavery. They'll protest. Why are you becoming a slave of your guru? Why don't you get some freedom? Like, as we see in modern society, everyone is free. They're free to do whatever whoever their authority tells them. And if they don't know who their authority is, then they turn on television so they can follow the directions of the television program. Yeah, everyone's free. Sure, try and use your freedom nowadays. Go out and go downtown and shout, "I'm free." They'll come and arrest you. You'll find out how free you are. So, they don't mind if you become a servant of some demon like Kamsa in Germany, everyone felt I'm a servant of Hitler. In England, they felt I was a servant of Winston Churchill. In America, I don't know who they think they're servant of. Captain Kangaroo or something. But everyone has to be a servant. Now, to become a servant of someone who can actually bring us into knowledge of our eternal identity in relationship to Krishna, that's what the Vedic culture is meant for. Now, people may say, I don't believe in Krishna. I don't believe in karma. I don't believe in the eternity of the soul. I don't believe in any of this. So that means you believe something else. You believe that you're this body. Then we have to ask you, which body do you believe you are? The one you had when you were a baby or this one? No, that body disappeared. Well, where is it? Oh, it's still here. It's just different. It's exactly the same body. It's just different. So I'll think about that. And if I can figure out the sound of one hand clapping, I should probably figure out how something the size of a baby and has grown into the size of a man or a woman is now exactly the same. No difference whatsoever. It's like a Zen koan or something. Can't figure it out. But they believe it. They actually believe that their body is exactly the same as it was when they were a baby. And if you try to explain them that it's different, they'll say, sure, it's grown. Well, if it's grown, then it's different. Then it's not the same body. Well, your scientists say every 7 years, every cell in your body is changing. That's true, but it's exactly the same. Okay, it's different. Then why is it that you're still the same person? Well, I'm not the same person. I'm completely different. Oh, really? The person who was in the little baby body, who's aware of the little baby body, is now a completely different person. So you were Bill when you were 5, and now you're John when you're 15. And how many people live inside your body, by the way? How many changes do you have? So you try to discuss with someone who's crazy. As it says, just like in Bengal, it says, just like a goat can eat anything, so a madman can say anything. So you try to explain logically to someone who has no logic, then you won't get anywhere. It's a waste of time. Therefore, Krishna says, don't speak this knowledge, idam te na tapaskaya, the bhaktaya kadachana, the chashushu shave vacham, the chamam yobasuyate. That don't explain this philosophy to those who are not austere or devoted or envious or engaged in devotional service. Don't bother because they'll never understand it. It doesn't matter what you tell them. They'll never understand anything you're saying. If you explain it to a dog, it may wave its tail or it may growl at you, but it's not going to understand anything. You may say it very nicely to the dog and it'll wave its tail, but it still hasn't understood anything. We may say it in a threatening way and it'll growl at you and still hasn't understood anything. Therefore, for those who have some medasa, some brains left, they can understand that this body is changing, but we ourselves within the body, we're not changing. And we're not changing the entire universe. Time is changing in the universe, and we're not in control of time. We cannot command time to stop changing everything. It doesn't really matter what you do. You can go to the sea, and you can command the wave, stop, don't move. And if you think they've stopped, then it means you're crazy, that's all. They're not going to stop. It doesn't matter how much you command them to stop. So as much as we want the material nature to stop moving, it's not going to stop. And inevitably, there's something called death. And you may deny, I'm not going to die. I don't believe in death. Well, a lot of people didn't believe in death, and they're all dead. So you can join them. So in the meantime, what are you going to do? Act like you're this body? Act as if there's no death? Act as if there's no karma? After all, as Prabhupada said, you can walk outside your house and see a tree. Now, that tree is also alive. It's growing. It's been proved it has some consciousness. So what's the difference between you and the tree? Both of you are going to die. Now, where are you going to go after you leave your body? Is it impossible that you could become a tree? How did this living entity become a tree? So there's a law called karma. Otherwise, why is it that some people are trees, some people are human beings, some people are demigods? Now, if one doesn't accept this philosophy, that's all right. Everyone has their free will. You can be in ignorance, you can be in passion, you can be in goodness. So unless one is in goodness, one cannot have the intelligence to understand these simple facts. Pashana pina pashyati. They're seeing it every moment, but they can't see. Ahani bhutani gachanti amalayam sheshastavra ischanti kemastarma takparam. Yamaraj used to have told Yamaraj in the form of a yaksha. The most amazing thing is that people every day are seeing so many people are dying, so many living entities are dying, but they're believing that they're not going to die. So this is amazing. The most amazing thing. We're in ignorance, we're thinking we're this body, we don't know who we are, and we think we're going to be in this body forever. How crazy we are. We don't have to say everyone else is crazy. We're crazy enough for ourselves. Why should we blame others? So the idea is, where did it all come from? Now the demons say, asatyam apratishtam te jagara horanishram aprashparam sambhutyam kimaya kama haitukam. They say the whole world is unreal. What does that mean? Doesn't mean anything. What does it mean they say it's unreal? They have this existentialism, so many Nietzsche's philosophy. It's not real. But they're not acting as if it's not real. Why are they writing books about something that's unreal? Why are they having lectures about something that's unreal? Just like I said, did one program many years ago it's one of these boutiques where they held all this esoteric literature. And I looked at one of Rajneesh's books. I opened it up, his last book he wrote, and it was all blank pages. Which is all right. He had really nothing to say. That was his best book. It was really his best book he had written. But why did he bother writing a book if he didn't have nothing to say? He should have just kept quiet. Why even bother writing a book? They say the world is unreal. It has no foundation. It has no God in control. It is produced of sex desire and has no cause other than lust. So this is their reality. Their supreme authority is lust. And it's all the different manifestations of lust, like anger and greed, illusion, madness, and envy. This is who they listen to. This is the only ones they'll listen to. But that doesn't mean that there is no foundation to the universe. It just didn't pop in out of nothing. Krishna is the foundation of the universe. It came from him and is going on by his arrangements. That's why we have karma, we have time, we have the planets moving their orbits. That's why we can digest food. It's all been nicely arranged by a supreme authority, supreme intelligence. But they may believe whatever they want, but they can't avoid the reactions for their desires and activities. Therefore, better to be awake than to join the people who are asleep. And here it says, ultimately everything is spiritual because everything is under Krishna's direction. But we don't realize that. That's our misfortune. Because we follow the ways of nature. Therefore, we believe that we're this body. We don't believe in karma. We don't believe in reincarnation. We don't believe in time. We don't believe in anything that's real. We don't actually believe in anything. Because even they say they believe something, like they believe in the atom. But they've never seen an atom. What is there to believe in? It's like believing in Santa Claus. I have firm faith in Santa Claus. Have you seen Santa Claus? Sure, at the mall. I went to the mall in Santa Claus. Did you tug on his beard? Yeah, but it wasn't the real Santa Claus. It was his representative, his expansion. It was only a partial expansion. So they don't really, after, maybe when you're 5 years old or 3 years old, you believe in Santa Claus. And the elder brother says, oh, you're nuts. There's no Santa Claus. And you go into depression for a couple of years. The only good person left in the universe doesn't even exist. So people don't really believe in anything. They don't believe in Tinkerbell anymore. They don't believe in the Good Fairy. They don't believe in Santa Claus. And even history. Like in America, they had this group of people called, I don't know what they were called, anti-fascist group or something. Antifa. And they were pulling down all the statues. George Washington, they wanted to pull down Abraham Lincoln, especially Christopher Columbus, because they learned in school that it was all a lie, that Christopher Columbus discovered America. He didn't even discover America. There were Vikings who came here long before, and there were people living here. It's not that they didn't count. Only when Christopher Columbus landed in America, then people would say, oh, look around. As we were wondering where we were. Now we know we're in America. Otherwise, we were just kind of floating around in some kind of void. Thank Krishna that Christopher Columbus discovered America. And they had this whole thing about how he sailed the seas and discovered everything and helped the Indians. No, actually, the guy was one of the biggest criminals in history. He went there, he captured the Indians, he enslaved them, stole everything they could. The guy was a complete rascal, like everyone else at the time. Or George Washington, he was an honest person. He chopped down a cherry tree, and he had the axe in his hand, and he's standing next to the tree. His father said, who chopped down the tree? He said, well, my elder brother came by and put the axe. No, you don't have an elder brother. Okay, I did it. I admit it. Oh, the first and only thing you ever said that was true. Never mind, the guy was also, from our point of view, it was not exactly sattvic. He died from syphilis. He may have been the father of his country, but the country was illegitimate. So people are fed this whole history, which is just based upon, the modes of material nature, mostly ignorance and passion. And they believe it, and then they find out from someone else who has a different mode of nature that it's all a bunch of lies, as if they understood properly what was going on. So we're dealing with different people in the modes of material nature, seeing things differently, but it's all untrue because it's not according to reality. Reality is Krishna consciousness, and therefore, unless one becomes Krishna conscious, one can't understand anything that's going on. So when we tell people everything is spiritual, they won't understand it. Therefore, we never tell anyone everything's spiritual. But we tell them about the laws of material nature, how karma is working. Those who are elevated might accept and understand it, especially those who are not killing animals. Could you imagine? Just like we used to have on a table this model diorama of this man with the face of a bull, and he was slaughtering a bull with the face of a man, represent karma. People would come by, oh, they said that's interesting. They had no idea what it meant, but it was interesting. Kind of like, kind of things they saw after they took some drugs or something. And if some people explain it, still they can't understand. You explain what the law of karma is. As you sow, shall you reap. People don't, they understand it, they don't accept it. So we're beginning with just trying, if we can convince someone that they're not their body, that their body's changing, and they're not changing, then we've made one step. In order to do that, we have to get them to chant 16 rounds for 20 years. Then they may, oh, my God, Bhagavad Gita might be right. My body's changing. Otherwise, you tell someone their body's changing, they're not changing. Even if they accept it for 1 second, they'll forget it the next moment. Therefore, we have, even above our philosophy, we have to introduce the chanting of the holy name. Then they might summate us up. People might get some brains to understand something about what our philosophy is. They have so much intelligence to do so many things. Etam drishtim avashtabhya nashtatmano no buddhya pravant yuga karmana shaye jagato hita. Find such conclusions, that is, that there is no God, etc., and lost to themselves, their spiritual self, they create horrible, unbeneficial works meant to destroy the world. So, just like in the present context, even if you believe that there's viruses, then they say they spent so many billions of dollars all around the world working on viruses that could kill people. So, in case one escapes, they can figure out what the vaccine is, what the remedy is for the virus that they created to kill people. So why did you bother creating the virus in the first place? What was the point? Well, in case someone else created it, so we know what the remedy is. But why did you create it? In other words, they're working hard to kill people. Most of the money in the budgets of the governments, especially America, $500 billion or more, no one really knows how much they're spending because they're just inventing the money anyhow, is going into for armaments to kill people quicker. They're not satisfied we're going to die. We're not going to die soon enough. That's the problem. Their problem, they don't think the problem is we have to try to save lives so people can live longer. Most of the scientists are working hard to kill us quicker. We're taking too much space. We're taking space that should belong to them. We're breathing their air. We might be eating their food. So we should leave. Either we're going to leave voluntarily, or they can invite us to leave. And if we don't leave voluntarily, they're spending so much money to make sure we get out of here as quickly as possible. And if it was up to them, there would be one person on the planet, them. Everyone else is a useless eater. Maybe two, them and their girlfriend and their dog, just so they have some company. So they're creating horrible, unbeneficial works meant to destroy the world because they're asuras. Because they don't believe in God, they don't believe in the purpose of life, they don't believe in anything. The only thing they believe in is their sense gratification. And they don't need anyone else for their sense gratification. They don't need so much. They just want exactly what's necessary for their sense gratification. And everything else they get rid of. And therefore we always see one group of demons are fighting for their sense gratification. Another group of demons are fighting for their sense gratification. And then they'll fight with each other until there is no one left. Except, that's the way the demons are. But ultimately everything is spiritual, everything is going on by Krishna's arrangement, and therefore it's up to Krishna. If one becomes a devotee, then Krishna says, then he protects the devotees. So what we're trying to tell people, if you want a solution to be protected spiritually, then you have to take shelter of Krishna and see things in relation to Krishna and work in relation to Krishna. And then the result is that Krishna will protect you, and then you'll give up your fear that you're going to die. Your body's going to die today or tomorrow, but you should find out that you're not going to die. You're eternal. Then you won't be fearful, and you'll be happy in any circumstance. And if you're not aware of the fact that you're going to live eternally, you're not going to be happy in any circumstance. Whatever you do, whatever your arrangements are, you'll always be an anxiety that I'm going to die. Sure, your body's going to die. But if you find out you're not going to die, then there's no problem. If you find out everything is spiritual, everything is under the supreme good person, best person, purely good person's control, then there's nothing to worry about. Because everything is for everyone's benefit, directly or indirectly. So I'll stop there. Thank you. Any questions? Comments? Yes.
Maharaj, can you explain how
simplicity, duplicity. Where did you see that they were connected?
And then a person should be conscious also of subtle desires, which are duplicity or fault finding.
Well, that's duplicity and fault finding. There's two different. They're anarthas. They're not the same. There's kutinati, jivahingsa, and what was and then puja, pratista, and labha. And one of them is duplicity. Kutinati is fault finding. Jivahingsa is. So one of them is duplicity, and one of them is fault finding. I don't know if they're exactly the same. Duplicity, it means that you think you know something's what's true, but then you act as if it's not true, or you claim something is true, but then you act in a different way. Well, fault finding is you think everyone else is doing something wrong, except for you, or you think everyone else is doing something wrong. But they're two different things. One is dishonesty, and the other one is just criticism, enviousness. What is? Can you find jivahimsa, kutinati, lava, puja, and pratista? There's one more in there.
It's written duplicity or fault finding. That's why I thought it's connected.
Well, either one, they're not both anarthas. Did you find it in it? Nisidachara, behavior which is not becoming of Vaishnava. Okay. Anything else? Nisidachara, kutinati, jivahinsa, labha, pratishta, something saka. Anything else? Thank you very much. Grandhara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanande.